Today I'm doing my senior project on fuel enrichment for nuclear reactor power. Let's start out by asking, what do you guys know about nuclear power, just right off the top of your head?
It deals with uranium-238.
It's partially true.
It's dangerous.
Not really. The containment structures around the reactor core itself are pretty safe. First they have to dig up the uranium somewhere. The equation for the uranium when it comes out of the ground is U3O8, which is uranium, it's a form of uranium oxide, but they call it yellow cake for the purpose of it actually looks like yellow cake. Australia is where they do a lot of mining as well. Australia's there. The spots on the map are different mines that they've used.
How do they purify the uranium?
That's in the next slide. So that's a valid question in my class.
What's leach mining?
They take and they dig up the uranium, and when it's in the U3O8 form, they take it and put an acid in it and leach the uranium out off and leave the oxygen behind. The next step is turning into uranyl nitrate, which we use. The equation in red in the United States, they don't use ammonia in their purification. They have to eliminate the byproducts whenever they mine, so they use that equation to do that.
You know why they don't use ammonia?
I couldn't find why they couldn't use ammonia in the United States, but and I never saw an advantage to why they use ammonia in other countries. Then they have to convert it to UO3. I'm not exactly sure why they stop at UO3 because they continue on to UO2. It never made much sense to me. Then they convert it to UO2, which is the ceramic form, and then they have to add fluorine to it so they can transport it. The fluorine allows it to be stable in a gas form because gaseous uranium can only occur at a really high temperature and it would be really dangerous. So they just don't do that. The next step in it would be enriching it after they add fluorine. And they add fluorine to UF4 and then they add more fluorine to make UF6 so it's stable to transport.
Why do you use fluorine?
It just allows it to be turned into a gas. They have to use a gas to enrich the uranium. So the UF6 is what they actually enrich from uranium-238 to uranium-235. The reason they have to enrich stuff like the uranium is the fissile isotope of uranium is uranium-235. The uranium-238 is what comes out of the ground, and it's in percentages like 98% uranium-238 to 2% uranium-235. They have to enrich that to make it much higher, somewhere in the factor of 1 to 20 is the ratio they use in the power reactor. They have to do that because uranium-238 is stable and firing neutrons at it will not do anything. This right here states the percentages of uranium-235 to uranium-238 comes out of the ground. Those are the two main isotopes. Uranium-235 is used because when a neutron is fired into it, it becomes unstable at uranium-236 and then decays to krypton variant and then releases 3 more neutrons and sustains a chain reaction.
Why is there not a U-237 or U-236?
Uranium-236 is not stable and uranium-237 I've never heard of. And that's just being honest, I have no idea. That's a little cartoon with the fuel cycle. There's 3 different types of enrichment. There's gaseous diffusion, a centrifuge method, and a laser enrichment. General Electric uses the gaseous diffusion most, and they're experimenting with the laser enrichment. General Electric will not provide me information on the laser enrichment because it's some trade secret at this point. So, yeah. gaseous diffusion in Wilmington at their fuel fabrication plant. They pass the uranium through very fine filters that can pick up the atomic weight difference from the 238 to the 235. They stop the 3 neutrons from passing through. There's a little diagram showing how they do that.
How do they stop the neutrons?
The filter is just so fine that the larger molecules can't pass through it at all. They have several of those filters around the entire building. They filter off the uranium-238 and then collect the uranium-235 that passes through. Then they would take the uranium dioxide that comes off after it's been pumped through this uranium hexafluoride and create ceramic pellets using the fuel assemblies. The next one is the centrifuge method, where they take the gaseous uranium hexafluoride and put it in the centrifuge and spin it to where the uranium-238 separates and goes to the outside. Then they use a scoop or some sort to pull off the uranium-235 out of the center of the centrifuge. Then they would take it and combine that into pellets to fuel assemblies. Here's the laser enrichment. The diagram up there is the best I can do to show how that's done. The laser excites part of the uranium-235 and it is pulled off, and uranium-238 continues to pass through. Like I said, General Electric will not provide me information on it. I tried. They just completely love stuff like that. That's the new experimental technology that they're using.
I know you can't elaborate on it, but do you know what kind of laser they're using, or is it our particle, big particle?
That's a very good question, but I have no earthly idea. Then they build a fuel assembly out of the ceramic uranium oxide that they pull off. NC State, at their reactor, they use 98% uranium-238 to the uranium-235 at 4%. That is double what will come out of the ground as uranium-235. And they had to have that so it can sustain a power reaction. The ratio that the power plant would use is around 1 to 20. So they use about 5% of uranium-235 to 95% of uranium-238. The next step is to put them into fuel rods and fuel assemblies. Over there is a diagram of how they put the fuel assembly together. Start with a pellet of uranium oxide and then go to a fuel rod, and then there's 25 or more fuel rods in the fuel assembly. And down here in the bottom is a picture of a power cord that we use for a nuclear power plant, and there are over 100 fuel assemblies in that cord. The fuel assemblies are quite big, they're like 12 feet tall.
So how many, is there a certain limit of pellets they put in there, or in the rod, and then they put like a certain number of rods in a cell, and then I don't know.
When we put the fuel assemblies together, there are several pellets, some of them made of uranium-235, and the majority of them made out of uranium-238. They all put those in circular tubes, which go in the fuel assembly. There are several of those tubes to a fuel assembly, like the big diagram here. Several of those small tubes in one diagram in one of those assemblies, and the assembly goes down the cord, and they move those around periodically so that the uranium wears out evenly, and they're not having to change the fuel every day. They usually change about 1/3 of the core every 18 months at a power plant, and NC State's getting ready to have to refuel theirs after 30 years. So if you manage it well, they're not generating a lot of electricity, there's no need to change the uranium that's in it.
What happened, like, did something go wrong with one of the rods, like at Chernobyl and Juneau Island?
At Chernobyl, they just goofed up and let the water boil off the top of the reactor. Like right here, there's a pool of water sitting over top of the core. In Chernobyl, they let that water evaporate away, and whenever that evaporates away, the core heats up to the point where the uranium starts to melt, and then it just melts down on top of itself. 3 Mile Island, I do not know the exact circumstances behind it. We didn't research that one. There's the nuclear fission reaction itself. They take a molecule of uranium-235, fire a neutron into it, and it breaks down to barium and krypton, krypton-92 and barium-41.
Sorry. Why does it break up into krypton and barium? It's just like two random elements.
It can break it down into a multitude of things. Those are just the most common.
Okay.
And then after that, there's 3 neutrons released, which hit more uranium-235, and it continues to break down. And in most power plants, they're either boiling water reactors or pressurized water reactors. This is a diagram of a pressurized water reactor, where they take and they heat the water off the core, and it goes to a steam generator. Actually, that's a boiling water. And it heats water in a steam generator, which passes across the turbine and goes to generate the electricity. And in a boiling water reactor, a pressurized water reactor, there's a third loop involved with it, which will keep more water off the reactor cooler, closer to the reactor, prevents the release of radiation. And a popular misconception is the cooling tower is part of the reactor. It's completely separate. Basically, the cooling tower is a giant cloud factory. Hot water goes in and clouds come out. That's pretty much it. It's hollow inside, just a really tall cloud maker. And there's the acknowledgements for the project. There's the people that gave me information.
Do you know if there's anything out right now about recycling some of the spent nuclear waste?
They're trying to reprocess some of it in other countries. The United States, however, is just leaving their spent nuclear fuel in giant swimming pools next to the reactor vessel itself. Honestly,
We're not doing any kind of research here.
they're doing research, but they're not succeeding in coming up with viable options. Everything's just sitting at the bottom of the swimming pool, and it grows still because radiation's coming off of it. Are there any other questions? Thanks for helping me out.